Hello everyone, my name is Roya and this is the first date book tag. So I was tagged to do this by Jade from Boho Bookworm, and this tag was created by Katie from, I forget her channel name, but I watch her videos all the time, so I should remember her channel name, but I don't. Anyway, I will leave a link to both of their videos in the description below. But anyway, let's just get on to the questions. So question 1 is The Awkward First Date, a book where something felt off. It wasn't a bad book, but it just didn't have that spark for you. And personally, I would pick every Outlander book except for the first one, because the first one was amazing, and then the rest of the series just did not have what the first one did at all, and that was a bummer. Who decided to join us? It's iPod. Say hi, iPod. So, A Cheap First Date, a book that turned out less than you expected. And for that, I'm going to have to pick A Corna's Quest by Anne McCaffrey, because it was just not as good as Acorna. Those are the only answers that are sequels, I promise. I will not be answering questions with, like, oh, the sequel, it wasn't as good anymore. You guys, iPod can neigh like a horse. Look. Meow. She's like, what are you doing? Please put me down. So question 3 is Well-Prepared First Date. Better than expected. And I'm going to have to pick The Help by Kathryn Stockett. That's her name, right? Yes, Kathryn Stockett. So there's like all this glare from the window on my face. I'm sorry about that. Like, it makes me look like I have leprosy or something, but just, like, you know, ignore that. So basically, The Help, I knew was going to be good because a lot of people said it was good. I've never heard a bad review of this or anything, so I figured it must be a good book, but I was still kind of just expecting, you know, your standard historical fiction, like, okay, whatever, it's good, but it's not anything special. But actually, this turned out to be so much better than I thought. The characters are so amazing and so sassy and everything, and I just loved the crap out of this book. It's insane. I still haven't seen the movie, but I'm going to. Question 4 is Hot But Dumb, a pretty book that's not so hot on the inside. And for this, I have to go with Magonia. If you've seen the cover of that, it is a beautiful cover, and I actually had to DNF it 2/3 of the way in because it was just not a good book. I did not like it at all, like not even in the slightest. Question 5 is Blind Date, a book you picked up not knowing anything about it. And I couldn't think of a book that I really didn't know a single thing about upon picking it up, because I'm sure usually I at least know the summary. For this question, I'm going to pick The Merciless by Danielle Vega. I knew some kind of something about this book because Cece from Problems of a Book Nerd loves this book, and she's talked about it so many times on her channel. And so I thought, well, it must be a good book, and now the glare from the window is just all over this book. I don't understand what the deal is. Why does that keep happening to me? So I'm just gonna, like, scooch backwards. Maybe that won't happen now. So anyway, Cece talks about this book all the time. I thought it was going to be amazing, and it was. But I really didn't know that much about it going into it. I kind of thought, I wasn't sure if it was about a bunch of girls who are trying to summon demons or what, but it's not about summoning demons, it's about exorcising a demon. So yeah, this turned out to be a really good book, and with a diverse main character, and I was definitely really impressed with this book. Question 6 is Speed Dating, a book you read super fast. And for that, I will have to pick Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. This was my most anticipated new release for the latter half of the year, and I was so excited to read it that at the minute I got my hands on a copy, I sped through it. Question 7 is The Rebound, a book that you read too soon after a book hangover and it ruined the book for you. And I don't really have an answer for this because I don't really get into book hangovers very much at all, and even when I do, it doesn't necessarily ruin the next book that I read or anything, because I'll still just read the book after I'm done being a book hungover, you know what I mean? So I don't really have an answer for this, but I don't know. So question 8 is The Overly Enthusiastic Date, a book that felt like it was trying too hard. And I felt like maybe The Night Circus was an appropriate response for this one, because even though I loved the first half of it, I thought that the second half just tried too hard to make the two main characters fall in love so that they wouldn't have to fight, and it just kind of a lot of it came out of nowhere, and it was kind of weird. I don't know. Question 9 is The Perfect First Date, a book that did everything right for you. And for that, I'm going to pick The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, because this book, it's about a girl who loves to read, which is really great because I love to read, and I love it when stuff that I'm reading has to do with people who love to read. And then also it is set in Germany, and any book that is set in Germany automatically wins points from me because I love Germany. And it also incorporates a lot of history and a lot of German words and a lot of stuff, and it is told... iPod is shaking my stool that I'm using as a tripod. That is weird. But anyway, I loved this book. I will reread it again at some point. And finally, my favorite question. Question 10 is Humiliating First Date, a book you're embarrassed to admit you liked or embarrassed to be seen reading in public for whatever reason. And so my answer for this is a book that I read fairly recently, and so here's the story. So basically, I take 2 books with me to work. At least 2 books with me to work. I will take one inside work with me in my bag, but since I do a lot of like running around, and I don't put my bag down or anything, I don't want to take like too many books in my bag with me so that it's not too heavy. So basically, I will leave the second book in my car, so that if we get a lot of breaks, if there's a lot of downtime, I can always go, and if I finish the book that I brought, I can go back to my car and grab the other one. So basically what happened when I was reading this book is I had just started it like upon arriving at work, and I left it in my car, and then I found myself continuing to go back to my car and read it in the car instead of just switching them out and bringing that one into work with me. Like, I just stayed in my car and kept reading it, because I just thought it seemed too cheesy of a thing to read in the workplace, like in public, even though no one pays attention to what I'm reading at work. And that is Silent Night by Tori Phillips. And this book is not as cheesy as it looks at all. Like, this is a cheesy as fuck cover, you understand, right? So basically, and of course the story, like the basic outline of the story, seems a little bit cheesy as well. It's about a monk who used to be a knight, and then he falls in love with this lady who he has to help her get to this place where she's marrying this evil dude. But along the way, he falls in love with her, and since even though he hasn't actually taken his monk vows or anything and isn't like permanently a monk, he really doesn't want to fall in love with this lady because he wants to stay a monk, but then obviously they fall in love. So basically, this book is way less cheesy than it lets on from all of that. It's actually a super good book. And I like flew through it, but I did not want to read this in public because it's just so cheesy looking. So there you have it, folks. That is the First Date book tag. I'm not going to tag anyone I'm going to tag people to do this because I was tagged myself, so it makes sense that I should tag people, right? So I'm going to just tag Charlie Book Fanatic and Sabrina from Undersea Booktuber. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what book you are most embarrassed to read in public because I want to know, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!